We must bring the fight to them. I've been training for this my whole life.
Welcome to another Slice of SciFi video review. I'm Noah Richmond.
And I'm Daren.
Today we are talking about Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Arr.
Now, the few of us that are left have only one way to survive.
So, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. This is one I had at one point picked up the book and gone through the first few chapters. I had a little bit of familiarity with the source material. Had hesitations about this film coming out, wasn't really sure what to think about. Had a lot of fears about what it was going to be. I'd have to say, now that I've seen it and seen how they've put together this mixture of Jane Austen with modern day zombie comic book action, I would say it did not live down to my worst fears of what it could be.
That's fair.
It seemed like a fairly competently assembled piece of filmmaking. Seemed to basically put what I had experienced of the book into a cinematic form. There was sort of a competent assembly, and I thought that the film had entertainment value throughout. But what about you as somebody that had never had any exposure to Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies? What was your feeling about those?
Well, I was definitely intrigued because how they were going to play up on the classic Pride and Prejudice story, and I do remember when the book came out. It was kind of quite popular, and being intrigued by the title, but that was the extent of it. So when I heard they were making a movie, of course, it was just recently actually, I was definitely interested because the trailer was pretty interesting. My lack of knowing the source material as far as it as a book, maybe it was to my advantage. So I was going into the movie really with a blanket as far as what I expected. But from a zombie standpoint, I'm actually kind of, it's been a little bit of zombified. Everything is zombies, and so there's a danger of almost being exposed to too many zombie stories and movies.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoy the parts that weren't about the zombies, believe it or not, which is more the traditional Pride and Prejudice, story. I don't know. Maybe the editing was a little it was kind of inconsistent. It seemed choppy. I wasn't really impressed overly by any of the effects. The zombies weren't anything that felt like they were like scare me or anything. So the zombies actually look kind of really just run-of-the-mill zombies. I mean, they didn't have that unique look. Because if you look at the timeline of all these zombies, you have through the beginning of '68 with Romero's zombies to the 80s with the the viral zombies to now the blood zombies where you had with the coming out of the eyes, and of course then with World of Z with the teeth chattering.
Right.
So you've had this kind of a variation between all the zombies, but this one didn't feel like it was anything new. So. And I thought that would be kind of cool, though, because it was a period piece movie. It would be kind of cool to see maybe the zombies were a little different because of that, but there was nothing unusual.
Yeah, you were looking for something a little different.
Yeah, because it is unique to see that kind of a story being told in a period piece, and so that was why I was actually interested in to finally see a movie being told from that point of view, so.
Yeah, and so for myself, my experience of the film was I felt like it was competently assembled. I felt that it had reasonable entertainment value throughout. I got to see Matt Smith, who I only knew as the Doctor in Doctor Who, getting to see him play a somewhat different role than the Doctor, watching him ham it up.
Yeah, he was good.
So anyway, so all of that is what I have to say that's positive. Now, having said all of these positive things, I felt like there was just something flat about the movie. Like, there was just a certain life that wasn't quite there. Like, it's like, okay, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, well, this is sort of has some entertainment value, but at no point was I really drawn in with. It didn't have like an energy to it that really draws you in and kind of keeps you going and laughing the whole way through. There weren't enough laughs for it to really be a good comedy, and there wasn't really enough character development for it to be a really good drama. I felt like I could have used more either of the actual Sense and Sensibility story fleshing out the characters, or more just adolescent. I don't know quite the word. I don't want to use the word adolescent humor. I don't want adolescent humor, but I wanted it to be more clever somehow to get me to laugh with it more, with the joke.
Well, and I think it's from a. I know I mentioned some of the things I didn't like, which was jumping ahead, but you know, you have these 5 sisters who had trained in the arts, you know, the Chinese, and I don't think they explored that enough. We had a couple of situations where they had, you know, where they were showing their skills, but then other than that, they didn't explore that enough, at least for me, because that's what kind of their specialty was. They were these really pretty, you know, girls that were rubbing elbows with Aristocats, just trying to find, you know, that man who could help elevate them with finance and everything. So typical, but the fact that they went to China to learn the ways of the warrior, you know, and coming back, they never explored it very much in the movie. So it just felt like that was just a kind of an afterthought in the plot. You know, it just explained how they got all these skills, and that was it. Because, you know, in the fighting, they could handle themselves quite well.
Right.
Well, the thing that kept my attention was the actual relationship between Darcy and Elizabeth scenario. I enjoyed that, but you know, I can't say I would ever really want to watch this again, because it was just another run-of-the-mill type zombie movie, and not enough zombies as it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize how much I'm starting to feel some zombie fatigue until this film.
Zombie fatigue. That should be a T-shirt. That could be kind of cool.
But yeah, it did feel there was a certain amount of this again, and I guess again that's my critique of the film. It's like it's doing this and it feels competent, but it also feels like this again. Like,
do you think people enjoy? What do you think the people in the audience did? It seemed to me they enjoyed it though. Just the feedback I was listening, you know, especially in the end.
But it's hard to tell from a preview audience that's really geared up and excited for it to begin with.
I'd be interested to know that those have read the book, and I know you said you had read a couple of chapters, but to see what they thought of the movie, because that's, to me, is how closely did it follow. Because again, as I said, it felt choppy, and I don't know how closely it strayed from the actual story.
Right.
Obviously, it felt like there's going to be a sequel to it. Oh, before you get off, would you recommend it to somebody?
I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. If you don't have anything better to do, I think it's fine to maybe catch on TV at night. And if you got friends that are going to see it in a theater, maybe go see it with your friends. But I wouldn't go out of my way for it, and I wouldn't recommend people go out of their way for it.
Yeah, 3 out of 5, that's exactly what I was thinking too, so I agree with that.
Maybe we should end by going, "Rah!"
Yeah. So I guess that's the end of our review, and maybe next time we'll get maybe a more exciting zombie movie.